Well, today we have Mr. Reginald Bernard Jr., correct?
Correct.
And I am Gloria Mantooth with the Unsung Heroes Living History Project to honor our local African American veterans and their families who served in the military and made Lompoc and Santa Maria area their home to raise their families and support the community. We would like to thank you for your service by interviewing you and learning your story, by documenting and preserving your story for future generations to come to know that you were here and you contributed. This project is being sponsored by the Santa Maria Lompoc branch of the NAACP, C4 Lompoc, Collective Cultures Creating Change, the Fund for Santa Barbara, the Shumash Indians, Joan Hartman, Santa Barbara County Supervisor, 3rd District, and many other local organizations. So before we begin, I'd like to ask if you are willing to sign the waiver granting Unsung Heroes Living History Project, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, the right to use this interview as detailed in the release at the conclusion of the interview. If so, we will proceed.
Yes.
All right. So today, Mr. Bernard, I'd like to talk to you about your father's military service. There are no right or wrong answers, just whatever you remember,
Okay.
whatever you feel or what you were told growing up. If there's something you don't remember, that's okay. Just take your time.
Okay.
So let's start with what life was like before the military for your father. What do you remember hearing about who your father was before he joined the service?
Well, from what I remember, my dad grew up in the Bronx, New York. His parents were immigrants from Trinidad, and I never had a chance to meet my grandfather. He passed, but my grandmother and her sister, my dad's mom and his aunt, lived in the Bronx, New York. And then in around 1966 or 67, my dad brought them to Lompoc to live with us. And my grandmother used to tell us stories about Trinidad. You know, she really didn't speak too much on New York. And my dad didn't speak too much on New York. And before he was in the military, I believe he was a bus driver. A bus driver, I believe, in New York or New Jersey before he joined the military.
Do you remember how the family reacted when he decided to join the military? Were they proud, worried, surprised?
I have no knowledge. Like I said, I wasn't even born when he joined the military, and I you know, I don't think any of us was born because my mother was from Missouri, and we used to always wonder how he was able to meet my mom all the way in Missouri from New York, and he was in the military. And that's when our family, I guess, began. That's when they began a family, was after they were married in Sedalia, Missouri.
So, from what you were told, why do you think he joined the military?
Uh, it was job security for a black man, you know, as a young black man back in that time. I believe he went through the Depression and he lived that, and just how African Americans were treated back then, and the work situation. My guess is that's why he joined the military. I never really, elaborated with him, And it was me growing up, I just always thought, that he was in the military.
Did he ever tell stories about boot camp or training?
Oh yeah. He it the way he explained it to me is that it was one of the best things he could have did for himself because it enabled him to travel and see, a lot of the United States and the world that without being in the military he wouldn't have been able to see. And he explained boot camp as hard on a young man back in that time, but he felt it was necessary. So it was necessary for where he wanted to be.
Do you think he felt prepared for military life when he first joined?
I do, because he he was a very concise and precise man, and I think he took the military challenge, by the horns, and just engulfed himself in it and passed it down to us.
What kind of work did he do in the military, as far as you know?
Well, I know initially he was the MP because, looking at old family portraits, one striper, two striper, he was an MP. And he used to tell us stories about how he used to get the drunk airmen and have to put them in detention. And he had gotten to a problem. He had gotten to some trouble one time because one of his buddies he had let slide. I think he had did something wrong, but instead of going through the proper channels and doing the proper paperwork, he kind of let him slide, and it got him in hot water with his superiors. And I think they took a stripe from him. I can't remember the whole story, but I know he did tell us that he lost a stripe for helping out a buddy of his when he was an MP.
Do you remember him talking about places where he was stationed and traveled to?
Oh yeah. Uh, wow. Whiteman Air Force Base, uh, Minot, North Dakota, uh, Spain, England, Germany, Vietnam. There was a lot of places that he used to speak on. Out of all those places, I think he liked Spain the most.
Did he talk about friends or people that he served with that mattered to him?
Yeah. Uh, uh, about his buddies in the military prior to coming to Vandenberg, I don't have too much knowledge about, but I know once he got stationed at Vandenberg, his best friend or his fondest acquaintance was Mr. Joe Oliver. They served together, and they were, they had shared a lot of same experiences. But basically, it was Mr. Oliver's is the one that he always spoke of.
So while serving, family is always important. How did your
Correct.
father stay connected with family when he was away from the family?
I can remember him buying a little reel-to-reel tape recorder, buying two of them, and a bunch of tapes, and him and my mother would mail tapes back and forth. I can remember us sitting around this little reel-to-reel tape recorder. This was way before cassettes or 8 tracks. It was just a little reel-to-reel tape recorder, and we would sit around and we would all get to talk to him, send messages to him. You know, we couldn't talk to him directly. We would talk to the tape recorder, and then she would mail the tape to him, and then he would mail a tape back to us. And I can remember after dinner at nighttime, we would all sit around and he would talk to us. You know, he would address, you know, I had 5 brothers and 1 sister, and he would talk to all of us. He would address all of us. And so that was our way of communicating back and forth. Why, you know, when he was at whatever post he was stationed at.
Are there any items that you still have that remind you of his service?
I have his flag, the one they put on his casket when he passed. I have that in my possession. I have a an old you know, those trunks, those foot lockers they give you when you go overseas and when you come back. I have his old foot locker and a couple of pipes. He used to smoke a pipe, so I have a couple of his pipes.
Did he ever talk about difficult or unfair experiences that he faced while serving?
Oh yeah, all the time. You know, it was. I He used to always tell me that you could be whatever you want to be, and you could do anything you want to do, but no matter how successful you become, you'll always be a nigga to the white people. He used to tell me that. Not not to discourage me, but just to let me know how we were viewed at that time.
Did he ever
But,
describe the military as a place of teamwork where he felt he belonged?
oh yeah, he the, the military to him, you know, was discipline, and you know, the building blocks of life, you know, as an adult. That's what he used to preach to us, is that, you know, that the military taught you structure, discipline, and how to cope with everyday life. But yeah, he was very happy to be in the military because it gave him structure, plus it provided for his family.
Were there leaders or role models that he admired while serving during his service?
Yeah, I really can't speak on that because he never elaborated that to me. You know, he may have spoke about that with my older brothers, but you know, I never experienced any conversations with him where he spoke highly of any particular individual. Just the military as a whole. He taught me or taught us, you know, it was a good thing.
What do you remember about his transition back to civilian life when he retired?
It there wasn't really much of a transition because he conducted himself in a military way. I mean, he used to get up early in the morning to go to work when he was in the military, and when he was out of the military, nothing changed. He would still get up at the crack of dawn, still go work long hours, and come home and fix dinner and you know, tend to his household. Um, he still worked on base. He went from the military to civil service. So, in my opinion, he was still military. I didn't notice any transition at all, other than he didn't have to wear the uniform.
So do you think military service changed him as a person? I know you didn't know him before the military, but just the sense that you get.
I I I can't say that I don't know what change in him the military produced, but I do know that the way he was I think I was around 38, 39 when he passed, that for my 39 years of life, he was military to the T, you know, in uniform or out of uniform. He ran our house like a military household. And from answering the phone to yes sir, no sir, and to this day, well, I'm 68 years old and I still say yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir to people that are older than me. That's just how we were raised.
So what do you think your father was most proud of from his military service?
Buying his first house, um, providing for his family, uh, as far as his military accolades, you know, he didn't really elaborate that much on them. You know, the military was a job that he took seriously, but it was the means to an end to raise his family. Family was always first, and the military was that vessel for him to support us.
Did he pass down any lessons or advice based on his time in the military to you?
Just about everything. My life is based on teachings from him with military thought in mind. You know, it's just whatever you're going to do it 100%. You know, give it your best effort, and even if it wasn't your best work, if you gave it your best effort, that was good enough. And to be respectful and remain disciplined.
When,
Just it he taught us a wealth. He taught me a wealth of stuff that was military orientated.
and when future generations of your family hear about his service, what do you hope they understand and remember the most?
That he was a just and fair person, and he'd give you the shirt off his back, and he tried to educate anybody that he could, any of us. You know, if we had the time to listen, he would take the time to teach us. And that, that's in every aspect. You know, he taught me about cars. He taught me, how to iron, how to cook. He taught me a lot of stuff that you apply to life. And that's just how he was.
Mr. Reginald Bernard, thank
Yeah.
you so much for
Okay.
sharing your memories. Your perspective helps to keep your parents' story alive, not just as a veteran, but as a whole person and a family member. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria, for interviewing me and giving me the opportunity to tell a portion of our family story.